Okay, so we talked about the server side. We have everything in the core, and we don't really care about it. The programmer don't need to care about it. What the programmer in Django need to care about now? Only to make an application just the normal way. And after you make an application, all what you need to do, you go to the URL and you just add a home like that. And you have a view, one view. And that view, it's very simple. It's a home. And the only things you need to do is really give ATM, you have to transfer that. We know how to do that. One is you give it a name, ATM name, you have to use that way. And you give it a name, you can give it any name you want. I call it business ATM, but you can call it anything. It doesn't really matter. Okay? Later on, you will need to use it inside the program. So you need to, when you're programming, BATM becomes to be important. Okay? But you can give it any name you want. I recommend something like BATM or any name you want. Title, it's really the title of the application is going to be. That's all. Then you make a template, simple template, home HTML. You can make it just like this one. And here we go, the way it looks like. So simple. All what you had to do is extend this one. This is it. And the whole thing works like a magic. That's beautiful. Okay? When you do that way, now when you go into here and you start the application, let me start something. Here what that one is. Let's close. Here we go. Let me close. Okay, let's leave that one. Okay. Let me close and 127. Let's go to here. And what do we see? Now I'm going to KK, that's the way I give it, and bingo, everything's work. That's magic. It really is like a magic. Now, how does it work? We have an editor, okay? And there is a whole object of the editor. There is tabs, so there's an object of tabs. So the tabs and the editor edit every tab, as you can tell. There is a tab manager which has 3 buttons and he manages the tabs themselves. Okay, I repeat that. There's a tab manager, manages the tabs. This is all done in JavaScript. Tab managers is an object in JavaScript. It manages tabs and it has 3 buttons. One, to add a tab, delete a tab, and in fact the editor. Okay, this is really the editor itself. So he's like kind of a connector between the editor and the tabs themselves. So let's go and see how the JavaScript looks like. See, the programmer eventually don't really need even to know that. But for us, we definitely want all the stuff are in advanced tabs. I'm in version 10. It's probably going to change every time I change. But the beauty here, you don't need to touch any of your programs. It's only affect the core, and I will update the core. And the core is after it's being updated, all the programs will be updated. Okay, so the first one, it's the manager. And by the way, just for general knowledge, when we in one of the applications, when we are in fact, I should show it's in the core, because the template being inherited by everyone, this is really the part that does all the magic. That's it. 2 lines. You automatically get the name of the object, but the object is Advanced Tabs Manager. You see that? Advanced. And that's the way we do JavaScript object. And this is really defined right in this library. Advanced Tab Manager. Fair enough? And from here, then I give it a name. So the global name of that object is what I decide in the view. That's the beauty. We're combining now Django with JavaScript with the tools of Academy City. And it becomes to be so elegant. Okay? The same name is right here. Then we have a bottom, the body. By the way, the body, it's just really defined inside the home of the core because not this one, so it's this one. It's when you go up, I just gave it an ID body. So you know all the stuff going to be in the body. Is there anything in the body? Nothing. The body is really empty. It's only this script stuff and the body is totally empty. So it's an empty body. Okay, it's totally empty. And the magic happening is I'm transferring to this object. What do I want the tab to be? By the way, you could have created even the same type of an object inside another place. That's for future use. But for now, I'm going just to give it to the body of the HTML, which is really an empty, there's nothing in this page when we start. So when we look at that here, there's really nothing here. It's totally empty, but it's building, it will build up the tabs, it will build up the inside and everything. Okay? And the other things I have to transfer, and this program I don't really care. We're transferring this special this function we talk, this is in the server side. And that's the mechanism in which we're connecting to the server side, which will connect to the database. And that's why we had that object that know how to get command from the JavaScript and transfer it to the database. What do I mean by that? If you go to the core, in the server side, we have this object, and this object is the advanced tab. And the advanced tab is being called by the view. And this is the function. So just to tell, which is in the core application. So the only things we need to do here is just telling him that where this is in the core. This is really the function that I want you to use. And this function, it's in the view here. And this function will accept the dictionary and it will do all the work. And this object that is going to call, it will do all the hard work. Everybody got the idea?
Yes.
So the beauty here, so it is in here. I'm just really giving him a link to where the view function exists, and everything I want to send, I will send it to it. And we know how to do it in Django, in Ajax. Who is going to do the work? It's this object. But he knows how to connect because I'm giving him a link to where this function exists and he can connect to it. Secondly, and that's really just a detail, to make sure that not everybody can have an access to this object, I just made a variable called isShowButtons, and you check if you are an administrator or not. If you are an administrator, we'll say true and allow you to see all the buttons, meaning you'll be able to see those buttons on the top. You'll be able to see the editor. Otherwise, you just see a regular application if you are just a regular user. That's the structure on the server side and the contact to it done from the client side by this object called Advanced Tab Manager. And all what it does, this Advanced Manager needs to it gets a name, it gets where to put everything, the tabs and everything. And I'm telling him put it in the body of this HTML, and I'm giving him to which function to communicate if you need to send data to the database or receive data from the database. Okay, that's the beauty. Now, where is this special object, which is a JavaScript object? Okay, it's not a Python. This one, it's a Python object. And the reason we have the Python, it's to connect to the database, to add stuff to the database, delete stuff from the database if I want, delete a record or add a record, update the functions, and all of that stuff done in this function, in this object. Okay? And this one really just, you do it once and you can forget about it. This is just a beautiful, elegant function that know how to convert whatever we're sending through this object, how we send it as Ajax, you receive it in the view, and you will convert it to a command to this object in Python, and the Python send it to the database and vice versa. Okay, so now we need to understand how this one works. So from architectural point of view, this is the administrator, he administrate, and by the way, you can see he's getting the link, okay, how to connect to the server. And he's keeping it up inside the body of it. This is like the, it's like on the constructor in Python. In JavaScript, it's like a constructor is really just a function, like a regular function. And you receive his own name, you receive the body, where to put the stuff, you receive the active function link, the link to how to connect to the server. That's it. And if to show the buttons or not, this is it. That's all what he gets. Very amazing. He keeps that inside, okay? And he has a dictionary here in which he keeps all the tabs he's managing. So far, so good. So he is a manager of the tabs. So he has a dictionary in which he's going to keep the tabs and he's going to generate them. Okay. Then he has a special function, very simple function, which is calling. When I create, by the way, when you create this object here, this function kind of being called. So it's like running this function. And this function is calling its own function. Now, this is very tricky. Since this is an object in JavaScript, it's a function, but I'm turning it to be a special function. I'm adding a function to this function, kind of. And this is what makes it as an object. So I'm taking exactly the same name. This is advanced topic in JavaScript. I'm taking the same name. Prototype is a very tricky concept. It's like the parent of this function. Don't kill yourself about it. You don't really care either. All what you need to know, if you want to add any function to this object, just use the same name, that type, a prototype, and add the name of the function you want. So this becomes to be a functions to belongs to this one. And so how do I call this function from inside? Very simple. I use the word this. It's like self in Python. This dot create, add, delete, editor. It's exactly the name of this function. And how do I call it from inside myself? I use the word this. This means myself. It's like self in Python. Very tricky one. Okay? This means this is a property. I'm going to have my name. I'm going to have a property, function links, active function links, titles. Okay? I have a container. I will talk about it in a second. I have a tabs. It's a dictionary, but I'm keeping it inside the object, like the init function in Python. That's what it really does. And now here, I'm calling my own function. This is really just to make it nicely organized. So what the first things the manager need to create? So he's creating the first one, it's what it's here. Very simple. He's making a div. This one we already know. Is that right, Daniel? Now the special things here is I'm keeping a link to it inside myself. This is the same as this one, because this function belongs to some object. So I can use this dot add delete. This becomes, I can refer to this div, also the div is an HTML component. Say I'm creating it with document create element, div. I'm creating two divs. See that?
Yes.
But I'm keeping a contact to them through internally. So I don't even really have to give them ID because I always can reach them in a much more elegant way. So I don't even have to give them ID. Okay. Secondly, I give it a class so it will look like a tab. Okay. Fair enough. And then there is another div, which is a container. So I have 1, 2, 3 divs. I have a div for the editor. I have a div for, by the way, add, delete, editor. This is like, by the way, this first div, it's really nothing but a place in which those 3 buttons are going to be. The second div is the titles of the buttons. So these buttons, you got it? This is going to be inside that div. That's a second div. A third div, it's a container. And what is this container does is really holding inside it all the containers of each tab. So if you look at this one is going to be inside another. So let's do the following. This will be elegant, really nice to see. You can see here that I have really 3 divs. I have a first div which have all those 3 buttons. You see those 3 buttons?
Yes.
That's the first div. I don't even give it an ID. I don't need to. You will see I can access it nicely through the object. The second div will hold those buttons. You see the buttons? This place? Okay, it's really this div. And by the way, when you look at this one, oh, hold a second, sorry. There's 3 divs. This one, it's for the editor, for the administrator, those 3 buttons. The second one, which is this one, and this one, sorry. This one is where I have those 3 buttons. The second div, it's where I have all the buttons of the tabs, all the buttons of the tabs. Third one, include inside other divs. See this one where it says Michael. Michael is one of those divs here. Let's see where is Michael here. No, probably didn't even, I don't really even need to give it an ID, but it should be, let's see where is Michael. Yeah, it's probably here. Here we go. Now this is Jimmy. So which one is Michael? Michael is the first one. Here we go. See, I have Michael inside it. Okay, so there you can think about it. I have a container for all the containers of every tab. So in other words, every tab here, it's associated with a div, which hold kind of a web page for that one. And all those divs, okay, they are inside a big div that the manager is managing. Everybody got it? Got the concept?
Yes.
Okay, so that's pretty cool. So when I go into the HTML here, by the way, when I see Sharoni, if I change it, by the way, the name, that's my daughter. I'm changing that one and I'm saving it. By the way, I need to do it when I save, it's automatically will show here. I will do it later on. For now, I need to refresh it. So if I go to Sharoni, what really happened? Imagine, you see, this one, it's inside the div of Sharoni. So the button goes with a div. Every button goes with a div, okay? And what I did is I put this one to be the content of this div. The only difference is that in the editor, I can see the HTML itself. So if I did this one, bolded, I'm making it bolded, and save it, let's refresh, go to Shiri, and go into Sharoni. Here we go, you see it's bolded. You got it? So here I can put HTML, and it will show it inside here. It looks like a magic, isn't it? So how does it work? Anybody want to guess?
Pardon?
How does it work? It looks like magic.
Yeah.
No HTML. Django, we're not using any HTML in Django. See, the business, the template stays always the same, empty. Just inheriting from this one, empty, totally empty. And still, it's kind of cool. I have an editor. I can save it. And bingo, when I refresh, is showing it to me here. I saved it in Shironi. I go to Michael. I saved it for Michael. Let's look at the HTML of Michael. This is Michael H1. Is that right?
Yeah.
I can download it. It's a little big. I can do a BR. I can do anything I want in HTML. Let's save it. Let's refresh. You see, Michael will look down now. Let's go back to Michael. Michael is more down. That's pretty cool. How does it work? Where is it keeping the HTML? It's really keeping the HTML in the database. Okay? And how does it really work? So the way it works, the administrator, this is probably one of the nicer things. I did it, as I said, I did it 20 years ago. I haven't seen anybody yet have done something similar to that. If you go to the administrator, after he's creating all those 3 divs, okay? By the way, if you have a good eye, I kind of skipped on these lines. These are really 3 lines, I just put them together. I'm adding all those divs, those 3 divs, I'm adding them to the body. What is element body? This dot element body, I'm transferring the body underscore to here, and I'm keeping it as this element body. What is really the body underscore? If we go back to the here, if you have a good eye, remember what is the body? This is exactly the body of the basic HTML that we're inheriting from. Okay?
Okay.
That's pretty cool. So he really doesn't care after he does that. For now on, we don't really care. We just put them in the right place. Those 3 goes to the same place. We have 3 divs going to the container. I told him, put yourself inside there. I told him, just put it in the HTML. Okay? So that's, after I do that, the next stage is create those tabs. Set tabs is the engine behind everything. So what is this function? Again, it's one of the second function. You see that? How do I add another functions to this object? Same things, use the same name, prototype, that's it, and function. What do I have inside? That's looks like easy, but it's really elegant and beautiful. Why it's beautiful? So how elegant it is. It's already that complex, but it does so much. What does it do? Is creating a dictionary, and he said the object is advanced tabs. It should be look familiar to you by now. The ATM is this my name. Oh, that's interesting. Remember what is my name? When we create this object, we transferring my name equal to the name we're giving it into the view, correct?
Yeah.
Now is using it here, and he's saying my name, ATM, Advanced Tab Manager, this is my name. Okay, good. And then he says, okay, I want you to activate the function get tabs from table. So he's going to go to this object in the view. From the view, he's going to go to this object. It tells him, I want you to relate to this application. Really, the ATM is really which application we're working on or which specific tab we're working on. And I want you to take parameters Amos. The truth of the matter, for this function, we don't need any parameters. I just put it there for references. And then take this dictionary, send it to the active function links. Oh, what is active function link? This is going to take me to where? Anyone? Where does it going to take me to? This is my link to the core. In the core, we have a view, correct? It's going to take me to this function. Is that right?
Yes.
That's all what I need to know now. And by the way, why did I keep this one here? By the way, the only thing is that you realize object, it's this one, 18, so you understand what this one is trying to do. So that's why I commented out. We don't need it. But all the command going to this function going to have the same structure. In this case, what am I really doing? I'm telling him, go to this object. This is my name. This is the function I want you to activate in this object. And here is a dictionary as a parameters of this function. So let's look at that. How does it work? Is getting this dictionary and is pulling the information. By the way, this is very important. It wouldn't work otherwise. The dic that we're getting here is a string in Python. So when I'm using this post and sending a dictionary, it is a string. I cannot send, this is a JavaScript dictionary. This is a JavaScript dictionary. I cannot send it. I have to turn it to a string. So there is a command in JavaScript called stringify, turn the objects and make it as a string. And I'm sending it as a, so dic is really is a string. He knows how to turn it to a string. I don't need to worry about it. So this command knows how to make it a string. But when this one gets to this function, which means to here, it cannot really use a string. You know, this one, dic underscore that I made here, it's a string. Python doesn't want to work. I don't want to work as a string. I want to use it as a dictionary. And the eval does the trick. When I do eval, take the string is turning it back to a dictionary, but this time it's the same dictionary for Python. You got it? That's pretty
Yes.
sophisticated. You liked it, Brenda, didn't you? Now the beauty here, I get a mechanism, taking a dictionary with information, only one element, that's all what I need here. That's what makes it so nice. Why is it? All what I need is just sending one variable kind of. And all the other variable I'm putting inside the dictionary. I'm transferring a dictionary, a JavaScript dictionary as a string, comes back to here. I convert it to a Python dictionary. That's beautiful. Why is it beautiful? I can transfer a lot of information in only one variable. That's pretty cool. Got it? Now I start taking the pieces. I have the object. You know, this is why I put it here. So you can see how I build it up in the, how did I build it up in here? You see, I have the object, I have the ATM, I have the fun, and I have the params. I'm reading it up in Python now. So this is becomes to be easy. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that right? Easy, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now I take those pieces, put it together again. Which objects do you want me to process? Oh, this is the object. I'm making a string. So what is really this object? It's going to be advanced steps, correct?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm transferring. Parentheses, and I'm transferring to it the name of the object, of the application, or the advanced step manager. The name I gave it in the view, if you remember. It's finally getting here. Got it?
Yes.
So I'm transferring it. So when I'm creating really the object, now when you think about it, I'm in here again. I'm creating really this object in Python. And what does it receive? It's the manager name. That's what I'm transferring to it. When I'm doing it here, first I'm doing it as a string, a name, parentheses, and I'm transferring the name of the manager. That's beautiful. Now after I creating the object, that I can call any one of those functions. Which functions I was asked to call, whatever is written here. I put the name of the function and I do that plus the name of the function. So far, so good.
Yes.
So in the first JavaScript, what am I asking him to? Which function? I want him to use this function. That's what I want him to activate. And I tell him, you know, when you're activating it, all those functions, they're all going to accept params as a variable. That's the why I designed this object. All of them get params. You see that? Besides this one, this is assisting. This is not really, I never call this one directly. It's really like helping those two, but all the 1, 2, 3, 4, all of them get parameters. And what was the trick? The trick is that in the view, I'm getting the parameters here in the end. The parameters itself is a dictionary. If you notice params, it's a dictionary. You see that?
Yeah.
And now this dictionary, I'm transferring to this function as a variable. So what's ending up in our example now? This is a string, and what this eval does, it takes this string and run it as a Python function. And what does it do? It's going to call create an object advanced steps, give it a name ATM, whatever the name I'm transferring to it. It's calling the function, not add. In this case, I'm asking him to call get tabs from table. So let's see which function it is. He's going to call this function. Get tab. This is the function he's going to call. He's transferring parameters to it. It happened to this one, I don't really need parameters because I'm asking him. In fact, I do. I'm not transferring parameters. I use one parameters as the name of the object, okay? But I don't really need, so I'm ignoring the parameters for this specific function. But I'm making this as a habit that all the function here will always get parameters as a dictionary. And from here, I can get parameters transferred to it. Now what am I doing? See the beauty. This one, everybody knows what it is. I'm taking a table and pulling the stuff from it, but I'm filtering it by the name, So here I need to go to the table. And this table is only managed by the core application. So what do we have in this table? Very beautiful. We have ATM, it means which application I'm working on. I'm keeping the tab name and the title. By the way, the title is the name eventually going to end up. It's really the title here of the tabs, of the buttons in the end of the day. Then you go into tab text. This is the HTML itself. This one is going to be changed. Most likely I'm going to remove it and make it something else. For now, as a starting, it's okay. Here I keep the HTML of the tab. And here I keep the functions of every tab. So what do we have? We have a table, one row for each tab. Since we have several we can have several applications. That's why we have the index kind of. This one tells me each tab to which application it belongs to. So I'm reading only the tabs that belongs to a specific application. No, this one, I need this one. That's all what it does. That's why filtering by the name of the application, I'm getting all the tabs. Now that I got all the tabs, all what I need to do, I'm making a dictionary in Python, running over all the tabs, okay? And for each tab, I'm calling this function. The only reason, as I said before, since when I add a tab, I use similar things, I'm just using this one to fill up this dictionary. So this one, what it does for each tab, all what it does is put the TID is really the record, the ID of the row of that tab. Every tab get a row in that table. So I'm putting here the number of the row, the tab name. Okay, this is really what going to be the name of the tab. This is the title. So I distinguish, originally I didn't do it that way, and then I decided to switch. Whatever you see here is the title, but every tab has its own name. And we will find the tabs by the name in the future. There's a lot of, that's why I added the setting here eventually. In the setting, by the way, there will be this is gonna be totally different. In the setting, we'll see the tab name, everything. So when we're programming, we don't have to guess what the name of the tab, because this one could be totally different. I will put a place, I will open a place, you can change the tab title, you know, so when we get to that. Okay, next. So then this is the HTML, and this is the functions. Now, by the way, pay attention that in the model, this is a special field. This is the JSON field. Where did we use that one? Brenda, you remember where we used something like that?
In the economics.
Exactly. No, in the corporate valuation. When we
Valuation.
collect the data.
Yeah.
Remember the quarterly and the annually.
Yeah.
All of them in fields like that. So now I put, by the way, I'm going most likely to change that one to be the same. And you will see why, because I'm going to have several pieces of HTML. And by the way, for every HTML I should have put in Django in here, in the templates, I'm going to put in this field. That's pretty cool. That's only a simple idea. Okay, so that's the table. And that's the job of that. And all what this object, this nice, simple, see how elegant the function is transferring me back, is sending me back eventually to here. I'm getting a dictionary. And a dictionary have one row for every tab. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to do a loop. And the loop is going for every, you know, the result has one dictionary for every record in the database. And what do we have, as we said before, what are we putting there? You know, this one is really, this is for every tab, we have a dictionary like that. And the index of result is a dictionary of dictionaries. So the ID tells me which tab I'm talking about, and each tab has its own dictionary. So when I'm getting back to here, I'm looping over the ID of the dictionary that holds all the dictionaries. So it's going to the first one. Let's say it's going on, the first one is Michael. Okay, so let's go and look at the table. You know what, that will be good. So you get a sense to it. It's really hard. Just imagine how you come with an idea like that. Okay, let's go back to the core. Remember, it's in the core. Where's the core? Here we go. So let's look at the Michael, okay? Where's Michael? Here we go. This is really your record. In your record, this is your HTML. You see that? That's what I said. This is holding all the functions. But each record, I'm turning it to a dictionary to transfer back to the JavaScript. So when I'm getting here, I'm getting a dictionary of dictionaries. Each row, like for Michael is one row. For, let's say how many we have. We have for B, you see all the one with BATM belongs to the same application. Got it?
Yes.
Each row, I'm turning it to a dictionary, and the dictionary will have there the name, it will have the tab name, it will have the HTML, it will have the functions of that tab as well. And he send it to here, and now I'm doing the loop, and now what do I do? Hey, that's beautiful. I'm creating a new object, and this one, a tab is a manager of a tab. So for each row in the database, I'm creating an object to manage that specific tab. Now, this is a whole world, my God. But what am I transferring to him so he knows to whom he belongs to? By the way, what is ATM underscore? This is a trick. I think I mentioned it once. How do I transfer? See, this is very tricky. This is how it killed me when I discovered how I need to do it. See, when I'm in this function, these functions belong to the manager. Okay? And the manager has his own name, correct? And is being created. Now, when I call one of his functions, the word this refer to this manager. But when you get the result from the server, inside here, it doesn't know what is the manager. It doesn't know. Outside, it does. And the only way I can send to him to tell him who is the manager is by using something like bind. There's other trick that I find, but this is the most elegant. I'm binding to these functions that being called when we get the data from the Python. I'm telling him this inside yourself, meaning inside this function, the advanced tab manager use it by the name ATM underscore. That's why I use it here, ATM underscore. I really meaning to this administrator, because this in a function means the administrator itself. So I'm transferring the administrator inside to the function, and I can use it inside. And now what am I doing inside? I'm making a loop of the result I got, and I start creating a tab function, a tab object for every tab. But I want to link the tabs to the administrator. So I'm telling the tab, create yourself, and I am your parent. Okay? And then I'm telling him, you know what? This is your dictionary. Use this dictionary. This is the information about yourself. And this is your ID. I didn't want to make it complex, so this is the ID in the database. This is your information. Because here, this one is really nothing but what we're doing here. This is really for every row, this is the dictionary that I'm sending you. I'm telling you your name. I'm telling you your tab name. I'm telling you your HTML. I'm telling you what the functions that belongs to you. Now go handle yourself. That's beauty of nice design. There are no books like that. I don't think you look for you can go, this is a book that's missing in this professional, in my opinion. One day we'll write it, okay? So now that you have a tab, and now I want, as I gave the tab my name, who I am, I want the tab, I want to keep the tab in my list. What is this? See, ATM is me. And what is tabs? Tabs is a dictionary. Remember we defined it here? That's why we defined it here. Here.
Yeah.
As I am creating tabs, I'm keeping them in here. And why do I do that? This way I can communicate between them as a manager. I can send them messages. I can receive messages from them, etc. That's beautiful. See how elegant and very powerful function. Very simple. Eventually, just for fun, after I create all the tabs, I tell the last tab, when I use the ID here after a loop, it will keep the last one. So by the way, since I'm putting everything in here, I have the tab itself. I know that the tab has a button object, and I'm going to tell him, click on yourself. In another word, on the last one, click on it. And when you click on it, it does something. By the way, when he clicks on himself, he clicking on the last one. This one I refresh, he's downloading, and you see he's click on himself. He's showing me the Jimmy, and he's opening this one for the Jimmy. That's what that click does. But we haven't touched it yet. Okay? So who is the brave to summarize that and put it on the web in the course that we're building up now? This is the hardest you have ever will see in your life. And the hardest haven't come yet. They're going to be one higher level than this one as we go further. But this is very hard because now all what we did is we generate the tabs, but we don't know what the tabs does. And we'll stop here, okay? Wow, my God, I have to run. Wow, I'm late. The tab itself, see, I told you, I'm telling him who is this parent. His parents is the administrator, yeah? I'm giving him his data and I'm telling him his ID. He's going to start building himself. So first of all, he's keeping a link to his parents. He's keeping his tab ID. Takes the ID, keep it. He knows that his tab name is inside the data. He knows that his title is inside the data. He knows that his HTML is in the data, and he knows that his functions is in the data. That's pretty cool. Now go handle yourself. So the tab will do a lot of stuff. It's checking, first of all, if this is usually a new tab, we use this tab when we create it, If it's not new, forget about the first line. When I'm reading, if it's null, it's going to create a tab functions as an empty dictionary. This is very complex. This is beautiful. Okay? And if it is null, it's going to do all that stuff. If it is not null, it's simply just taking the data from the tab function, which is already took it from here. But if it's empty, it's creating those three functions that you see as default for a new tab. But that's what we'll do next time, okay?
Okay.
Now, why I'm saying, even when we finish everything's here, this is one higher, really hard level, but there's one harder. It's gonna be. When we're here, I want to remove this one away. I want to replace it in the setting. And when we get to the setting, I'm going to put a lot of type of buttons here. And when I click on it, one of them will be like, turn this one to be an kind of as a navigator have. I want to put there a table. I want to put there a button inside there. And he needs to know how to handle it. Not a trivial exercise, not at all. That's a very, very hard one. Okay, I had an idea. I did it one way 20 years ago. I'm going to do similar, but this time I'm going to use the function, the ability of the JSON. You didn't used to have JSON field in the database at the time. So this one going to be much more helpful, but that's we'll do next time. Okay, guys? Please look at that. Look at that. Okay, let me push it to you for you. Wow, I don't remember how I push it. Let me see. Hold a second. I want development. No, it doesn't have that. Let me see directory. I think I need project. Change directory project. Yeah, and now I need change directory development. And now I need to add. You want let me do add. What is the add? God help me out. I don't have the power to go through all of that. How do we write it? Do you remember the command? Do you remember how do we write that? Git add minus A, is that right? Then git commit. Do you remember? How do you do that? Minus M, if I remember. Let me check. Amos, and the date today is 02/03/2020.
Okay.
Correct? Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That part for git, I thought it should be git remote add.
Git add, isn't it? Minus A.
Remote as well is saying git remote add. The remote is missing.
No, I have already done it on my computer. You didn't do it on your computer. That's why you have to do it all the time. I did it once, it's enough. Okay? Now I need to push git, push, and how that goes. Development, is that right? Master, you see, it recognizes when I do a tab, and it will push it. Now you can pull it, okay? You have the most current version. Go over the libraries, go over everything. That's so powerful, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Bye, guys. I have to run. I'm already late. I didn't really know this. Bye,
Okay,
sweetie.
no.
Bye. Bye, sweetie. I will send you the, I will try to, it will take time until it makes the video. So after the video, in another couple hours, I will upload the video, okay? So you'll have,
Okay.
but go over it. Tomorrow, we're doing machine learning. Okay, start studying that library. It's a hard library. But one day I want you to replace me. Okay? And how can you replace me? In the future, I'm expecting you to come with those ideas. Those ideas not in any book. And that's experience and a lot of way of thinking, which is not easy. Anyway.